Tournament officials usually prepare for everything: crowd control, court assignments, and security logistics. However, what they clearly didn't anticipate was a practice session creating more chaos than the actual matches. Alex Eala hasn't even played a single competitive point at the 2026 Miami Open yet, but she has already become the most talked about person in the entire venue. The WTA seems unsure how to handle this sudden surge in attention. What do you think? Is the WTA doing enough to put Alex Eala in the spotlight, or are they still treating her popularity as an unexpected surprise? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's take a closer look at what a practice session is actually supposed to look like. A typical practice session is usually a quiet, routine part of any tournament. A handful of spectators might wander past, and maybe a few dedicated fans stop near the fence to watch for a while. The player hits for about an hour, works through patterns with their coach, stretches, and then heads back to the locker room. There's no disruption, no one changes their schedule, no crowds shift across the venue, and security doesn't need to adjust anything. It's simply background activity at an event where the real focus is on the matches. That's what a practice session looks like for almost every player at the 2026 Miami Open. And then, there's Alex Eala.
Where are you guys from? Huh? Where are you from?
LA.
Okay, so your name, nice little 2-hour drive. What's your name, man?
Andrew.
Last name?
Rivera.
Rivera. So you came all the way here. Are you going to get to watch your matches? Or?
I've been coming to this tournament for 10 years.
Oh, wow. So now you have someone to cheer for.
Finally have a Filipino out here.
Awesome.
You got a Layla selfie also?
Fans began arriving early just to secure a good viewing spot along the fence. The small bleachers near the practice court quickly filled up. Phones were out, cameras were rolling, and all of it started before she had even hit a single ball. Some people reportedly waited over an hour just to watch her warm up. Meanwhile, on nearby courts, players ranked significantly higher were practicing in front of much smaller crowds. That detail matters the most. Players with higher rankings, more titles, longer careers, and bigger trophy collections were drawing less attention, while a 20-year-old seeded 32nd in the tournament was attracting massive crowds. It was so significant that tournament staff had to adjust their routines to manage the movement of fans. This is not normal. It doesn't follow rankings, seedings, or any of the traditional measures used in tennis to determine popularity. What happened on those practice courts in Miami was a clear example of fans making their own decision, independent of official rankings, and the rest of the event having to follow. The WTA's role in a tournament like this is to manage everything smoothly, assigning courts, promoting players, and ensuring the event runs efficiently. Their system is built around rankings. Top seeds get the main courts, and the rest are placed accordingly. This structure works well when the most popular player is also ranked at the top. But it begins to fall apart when the player drawing the most attention is seeded 32nd. That's exactly the situation they found themselves dealing with. A player whose presence alone could shift crowd movement across the venue, even before the tournament officially began. It forced behind-the-scenes conversations about scheduling, court assignments, and crowd control, all because this scenario simply wasn't part of their usual playbook. Now, when you combine what happened on the practice courts with the online numbers, the picture becomes impossible to ignore. A simple day in the life training video featuring Alex Eala reached nearly 100,000 views. This wasn't a match highlight or a major tournament moment, just routine training footage. For most athletes, that kind of content barely gets attention. But for her, it performed like content from a global superstar. Her audience is not only large, but highly engaged. And that engagement shows up consistently across everything she posts, regardless of the content. This kind of steady attention is incredibly valuable. It's what sponsors are willing to pay huge amounts for. More importantly, it cannot be faked or manufactured. It only exists when people genuinely care about following a player's journey. Earlier this year at the Australian Open, the numbers became even more striking. Her pre-tournament press conference generated over 173,000 views, outperforming press conferences from players like Novak Djokovic, Aryna Sabalenka, and Iga Swiatek, all of whom have multiple Grand Slam titles. That wasn't a coincidence, it confirmed a trend that had been building for months. Many analysts began comparing her rise to Emma Raducanu during the 2021 US Open. Raducanu's incredible run as a qualifier captured global attention and brought new audiences into tennis. It was a rare moment where the sport broke beyond its usual reach. The similarities with Alex Eala are real: a young player, a compelling story, and a rapidly growing global fanbase. But there is one key difference. Raducanu's breakthrough was concentrated over 2 weeks at a single tournament. Eala's rise has been steady and sustained across multiple events, continents, and months. It hasn't faded after losses or slowed down, it has continued to grow. The reason for that growth goes beyond rankings or trophies. It comes down to connection. A genuine, emotional connection between a player and an audience that feels represented by her success. The Philippines, with a population of over 110 million people, has a deep passion for sports, especially those that bring national pride on the global stage. For a long time, tennis did not have a player at the elite level for that community to rally behind. That changed when Alex Eala emerged. During her run at the 2025 Miami Open, where she defeated top players like Madison Keys and Yelena Ostapenko as a wild card ranked 140th in the world, the response from the Philippine sports community was immediate and powerful. It was loud, passionate, and, most importantly, sustained even after the tournament ended. Her fanbase, often referred to as the Pinoy Army, is far from casual. It represents a deeply invested community that has been waiting for a moment like this, and now that it has arrived, they are fully behind her. Stay in the stands past midnight for late match sessions that most tournament crowds have long since abandoned. They track her schedule across time zones. They travel. They fill whatever space she is in, whether that space is a practice court, a press conference room, or a stadium court that has been upgraded to accommodate the demand her presence creates. That kind of loyalty does not respond to rankings. It responds to identity. The Nike visit before Miami added another dimension to the story that the commercial side of the sport is clearly paying close attention to. EA walking through the Nike headquarters in Oregon was not a routine promotional stop. The positioning of her image in promotional spaces alongside figures who represent the highest level of the sport's history was a deliberate signal from a brand that operates with long timelines and does not make casual statements. Nike is betting on a future that includes Alex Eala as one of the faces that defines it. When the world's biggest sports brand makes that bet publicly, every other brand in the ecosystem pays attention. The saga-inspired signature collection rumors that have circulated around her Nike relationship are worth taking seriously in that context. Custom signature collections are not created for players ranked 32nd in the world. They are created for cultural icons whose identities extend beyond their sport and whose stories resonate with audiences that brands want to reach. The fact that those conversations are reportedly happening before EA has won a WTA title says everything about what the commercial world sees when it looks at her trajectory. Sam Querrey said it on the Nothing Major podcast, and the comments spread immediately across tennis forums and media panels. Eala might currently be generating more global curiosity than Aryna Sabalenka. Querrey is a former top 10 professional who understands the sport from the inside. When he makes a comparison like that, it is not a throwaway line. It is an observation from someone who has watched tennis crowds for 2 decades and recognizes when something unusual is happening. Sabalenka has Grand Slam titles, years of top-level consistency, and a genuine global profile built on sustained excellence. Comparing a player with Eala's current resume to that level of star power in terms of pure attention generation is a bold statement. But the conversation it started was not about trophies. It was about which players people around the world are actively searching for, talking about, and gathering to watch. And on that specific question, the evidence from Miami's practice courts, from online video views, from press conference attendance numbers, and from the crowd migrations happening across the venue points, clearly in one direction. Former American pro Steve Johnson made it even simpler on the same podcast. He said, "Yes, she is the biggest draw in women's tennis right now. Not almost, not arguably, just yes." John Isner connected it to something bigger. He talked about untapped markets and the power of having a star player emerge from a region that tennis had not traditionally reached. He said the crowds she generates are insane everywhere she goes. And he pointed out what should have been obvious to the sport a long time ago. If you can produce a star player who connects with markets the size of the Philippines and broader Southeast Asia, you have not just discovered a new player, you have opened a door that does not close. The Miami Open practice court situation is the most visible recent manifestation of all of this. But it is not the beginning of the story. It is the latest chapter in something that started in Miami 12 months ago when a wild card walked in ranked 140th and walked out ranked 75th, having beaten 3 Grand Slam champions. The WTA did not create this story. The rankings did not predict it. The marketing departments did not schedule it. The fans decided, and the fans are currently reorganizing themselves around a practice court in Miami, while tournament officials quietly figure out how to manage something their playbook never prepared them for. When your practice session draws bigger crowds than other players' actual matches, the sport has to stop and pay attention. Alex Eala is not waiting for the WTA to recognize what she has built. The fans already made that decision for them. Hit that like button if you are here for this story. Subscribe for more and drop your Miami Open prediction in the comments right